We start, as always, with Coach Mike Gundy as we get ready for Bedlam 2020, and it was a bye week, so you didn't play this past weekend. What was a bye week like? Any different than maybe previous bye weeks?
Same routine. We give the players some options on when they want to practice. We feel like that 3 days gives us a chance to prepare, do some development with our younger players, but then also give them a break. We're in week 18 now with the players with football because we had the off-season OTAs later in the summer, but early in the football season because of the virus. Now, they weren't strenuous, but there's still 2 weeks of them mentally being there. And when you're dealing with young people, at this point in the season, the mental preparation, as much as the physical, is very important. So we gave them their choice, and they wanted to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They came Friday morning and worked out. Coach Glass conditioned the players. Then off Saturday, and we practiced again last night, which is Sunday night, and then off Monday and back at it on Tuesday.
So with the unique circumstances, because you still have 4 games left, and here we are, we're only a week and a half from Thanksgiving.
Right.
Everything has been thrown out of whack. So with this particular bye week, because you have so many games remaining, is it more refinement when you did practice, or are you trying to still maybe install some things that maybe you haven't shown that you can use in the last 4 games?
Both. We continue to work our younger players more this year than we have in years past. In my first 15 years as a head coach, develop them, some of the young guys. That all started with the COVID, based on the fear of not knowing who was going to be available. Knock on wood, we've been very fortunate and very successful with the virus. But what we learned is, after the first 6 or 8 weeks, to continue on with working our younger guys, which is group 3 on both sides of the ball. And I think that development's going to pay off for us in years to come. And it all started because of the virus. They say to always find something good out of every situation. And that's one thing that we stumbled onto as a staff that's really helped us.
What kind of an update can you give us on Tylan Wallace, who did not play at Kansas State?
Well, we're going to know a lot more in the middle of this week. I feel good about where our team is health-wise, way better than Kansas State preparation, as you and I talked about, which I didn't try to hide it. I had real concerns about, 1, our health, and 2, guys that were going to play in the game that hadn't practiced. And it's just extremely difficult to play and have success when you don't practice. It's the way it is. Sometimes people outside the program, fans and different people, think that as long as they show up on Saturdays, you'll be fine. That's not the way it works. So I feel better about the health of our team now, and I'm hoping that we'll have Tylan out there also.
It is such a unique time. We've hammered this over and over again, but now we're getting late in the year, getting close to Thanksgiving. But again, you still have 4 games left, and there's a lot on the minds of your players and every college student right now. So even though you still have a lot on the line, do you find yourself and your staff needing to pay even more attention to the guys mentally right now? Because it's just been a barrage of things. Do you really have to be attentive now, given the circumstances?
It's better now than it was in the middle of the season, and it's way better than it was at the start of the season. We've discussed this. We could talk about it for hours. Our players carry computers in their hand every day, their phones. Yeah. They have information. They have access to anything they want. Social media, listening to people outside the program, different resources that, in my opinion, aren't as constructive as what they can get inside our program and or on campus or from their family. So they've matured, they've learned to grow with it. I don't see them allowing it to be as much of a distraction as it was when we started in July.
Coach Gundy and I will preview Bedlam when we return.
Give the gift of fun to everyone on your list with in-store assembly and free curbside pickup. Make this Christmas brighter together with Academy Sports and Outdoors.
It's time for Ask the Coach, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Coach Gundy, what does the workload look like for the second and third team quarterbacks during the week getting ready for a game?
Second team quarterback would get about 35% of the reps. A third team guy would get about 5% of the reps on a traditional year. It can vary sometimes if we have quarterbacks who are playing that aren't experienced, or if we have quarterbacks like with where we're at now with Spencer, who had an injury, then the other guy will get a little more work. But on a traditional year, like if we had Mason Rudolph for all those years, he's going to get about 70% of the work. The other 15 or 20 would be a 2, and then the 3 will get 5 to 10.
Do you have butter lettuce over there? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Okay.
Just try a little bit here.
Hey, Jay, can you grab that?
We'll get right on it.
Thank you. I know how much you guys love tomatoes, so I have stories to tell you about these tomatoes.
ADM milling is really a part of the fabric of the Enid community. So if we were to have lost them, it would have been more than the 70 jobs that they employ.
OG&E, the City of Enid, and the Enid Regional Development Alliance were all great to work with. Not only does it allow for the growth of the new mill, but also the power is there to make that happen for the future.
Back with Coach Gundy as we preview Bedlam. And first, your thoughts on Oklahoma. Obviously, a couple of conference losses early, but the wins have been coming for Oklahoma as of late. What's changed?
The quarterback seems to have settled in a little bit, in my opinion, from an outsider looking in. Early, he's a guy that didn't have a lot of reps. Getting more reps now. Running back is rushing the football. They're running their guard tackle play. They're reading it, throwing play action, running nakeds. Very similar to what they have been in the past, with the exception of last year. The quarterback from last year, they ran him like a running back. Not really doing that as much this year. And they've got the overall from top to bottom, they're going to be the most skilled team that we play on the perimeter with their wide receivers. So it'll be a real challenge for our defense. Defensively, very similar to what they were last year, with the exception of more man coverage. The setup up front is very similar. They like to move around a lot and play some quarters, a little bit of zone, then roll down to a lot of cover one. So more similarities there than what maybe offensively they had done last year.
You have a very experienced football team. How much does that matter in a big rivalry game?
I think it matters in every game. The interesting thing about players is I think they live week to week more so than we ever have, just based on things are new every day. It goes back to the science behind them carrying their phone in their hand. The newest and latest and greatest information is what they think about, and then about 2 days later they go to something else. That's the real challenge for us in keeping them focused week to week on our opponent. So the good news is I think that the maturity and the experience that we have with this team will allow them to understand focus and importance of getting ready day by day to play the best we can on Saturday night.
As you face a team that is arguably the best team you've played up to this point, what is the one thing that you felt like we could improve in this area, we would really give ourselves the best chance to win? Is there one thing that jumps out?
Well, we're immature and we're lacking experience on the offensive line right now. It's been that way since we had a really tough break in the first game. We put some young players in who are giving us their all. They're competing, and we're getting a lot out of them. But they're not as far along as what we have been in the past with our offensive line. I think they've continued to improve each week, and as long as they can hold their own and fight and give great effort, we can continue to evolve and score more points offensively. It'll give us the best chance in this game. Just looking at what's happened, it's what head coaches do going into the game. Oklahoma's scoring a lot in the last month. They're coming around and scoring points, and so our defense will have a real challenge, and then we need for our offense to be able to score more points than what we have in the last month and give us a chance to get into the fourth quarter, and then anything can happen at that point.
The curious case of Tom Hutton when we return.
You need more layers, diagonal layers.
I got it, Ron. Thanks.
Leave him alone, Dad. Oh, honey, you should use ice blocks instead of cubes.
No, Bud Light Seltzer goes on top.
Diagonal layers.
Did you pre-chill the Bud Light lemonades?
Need more ice. And diagonal layers.
I mean, if you're gonna do it right.
I don't need my hands getting cold.
Why don't you try using the Plumsky method?
Brings out the citrus notes.
Dad?
Gotta crush the ice, son.
Okay, I'm out.
What's his problem?
Whenever packing the cooler really matters, there's a Bud Light there.
Living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/cowboysortho.
Tom Hutton is into punt.
Tom Hutton isn't your average college football player. First off, he's from Australia.
I grew up playing Aussie rules football.
He's a little older than his teammates.
For Tommy Hutton, the 29-year-old freshman. Yep, you heard me right.
I think I'm the second oldest in college football.
He's married. Oh, and he's pretty new to the sport.
From never touching an American football to 3 weeks later, I'm talking to a big American college. It was just like, it was crazy.
Yes, he said 3 weeks, but we'll get to that. Before taking up punting, Tom led a pretty full life back in Australia. He even owned his own carpentry business. So, how did an Australian carpenter with very little experience playing American football end up at Oklahoma State?
I heard about Pro Kick Australia, which is a company that trains Australian rules footballers, or anyone really, to be able to punt over here. So contacted them and then went down for just like a tryout sort of thing, assessment. And they were happy with the way I was kicking and said that it could be worth a shot.
And clearly, they were right.
I think I was 27 at the time, and I was like, I don't know how many colleges are going to take a 27-year-old Australian, but so I ended up going with it anyway and just giving it my all, and then within about 3 weeks, I had a call from Oklahoma State, and then from there it just really took off.
Tom committed right away, and he and his wife Kelsey got ready to start a whole new life in America.
I called her straight after that phone call and I was like, I think we're going to Oklahoma State, so Google it and see what you think. And then, yeah, and then she was stoked with it, so we came straight away pretty much.
So I'd always thought I'd like to live overseas. I didn't know where, I mean, obviously everyone, the dream is New York because it's all you see on the movies and everything like that. But I guess we were really, when we came for our visit to Oklahoma, we were kind of very surprised by the friendliness, I guess, from everyone. And so that was kind of reassuring. And we were just really thrilled to have the opportunity to come to OSU.
Tom joined the Cowboys as a punter in 2019, and his first interaction with his teammates was an interesting one.
When I got introduced to the team, when all the new guys came in, I got introduced to the team up the front, and Coach Gundy said, this is the new punter, Tom Hutton. And he goes, how old are you? And I said, 27 or 28. And he goes, yeah, he's 28, and he's married, and he has 7 kids, which is obviously not true, but all the rest of it was true. So people just thought, oh, well, he's 30, he must have 7 kids as well. So there's still people that ask me, how are your kids going? I'm like, I don't have any kids.
We have 2 dogs, so they're our little kids for now. But Yeah, it's just funny that they kind of think that he's the stereotype, like older man, has all these kids, but it's not necessarily the case.
Tom is in his second season as the starting punter for the Cowboys, and although he doesn't know what his future holds after he graduates in a few years, he knows Oklahoma State will always hold a special place in his family's hearts.
I think we'll always kind of be very grateful and be very thankful to Oklahoma State because they, like you said, they gave us such a big opportunity that I don't think that we could ever pass up. And I don't know, the people, just the environment that we've been absorbed into has just been so wonderful that I think that we'll always, you know, call Oklahoma State home as well.
It means something different to everyone, but this was literally life-changing for me. Like I just never could have imagined it at 30 years old. So it doesn't come around very often, but I'm super grateful that it did.
Tom Hutton is into punt, and he strikes it down the center of the field, an end-over-end punt hanging in the wind. Can the Cowboys down it? It bounces at the 5, and it's down at the 1-yard line.